You're big on cadence too. I've seen interviews where you talk about that, right? It can't be just about you just saying the words with no regard for the beat. You gotta like be an ebb and flow and really kind of meld yourself to the track. It's one thing to see a verse written out. It's another thing to actually understand how it's rapped. How have you
Yeah.
conveyed cadence when writing for others in the past?
Well, that your cadence is natural. It's yours. So it's just about figuring out a way to make the sentence connect in that cadence, and that's your style, and it's natural to you. Everybody got one. You know, it's the difference between Method Man and Doggy Dog, who may be closer to Slick Rick. Like everybody's got their own little wavelength, and it's just about matching those words to that wavelength. Now, some people like him, they have a pattern where they can just speak the syllables of those words in that pattern and connect their Legos that way. But essentially, that's all it is. Bars of Legos connected together in these ways. That's what makes it cool, at least to me. That's what makes it cool about a rapper doing this thing. But everybody's got a natural one.
You brought up the fact that we are in the 50th year of hip hop as we celebrate it. And I'll say you have one of the best Twitter accounts out there. I'm not a huge Twitter guy, but like Crooked Eye, you're always seeming to talk about hip hop, and other things. You really connect with your fans out there. So I got to ask you a question that inevitably you've been asked before, and in a celebration year, as we celebrate this culture, who are your top 5 dead or alive MCs?
You know what? That's really sort of an unfair question. And if I'm being honest, I just don't have an answer to that. I don't think that you can really honestly ever answer that question, because a lot of these guys are great, but we all stand on the shoulders of somebody else. You know what I mean? I've said that there's similarities between Snoopy and Slick Rick, and so who's the greater or the worse? What came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like we are the greatest of all times, and we should continue to be that. We should continue to stand on one another's shoulders and use this art form to connect us in ways that we're not right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would rather us all be the greatest, and keep it like that.
I really respect that answer a lot. As you and Reggie were talking about cadence, something dawned on me. We covered it again on Ambrosia, but in a clip from the film, Eminem is flipping out about a line that you rapped from one of my favorite songs you did, Mind Blowing, that he never understood. And when you broke it down for him, Eminem looks at you and says, how the fuck did you say that? I'm curious to know, as one of the greatest pens in hip hop history, did you ever write lines or verses for other artists that they just couldn't quite get off properly like you could?
All the time, bro. All the time. Every fucking verse. They always fuck it up. But you gotta live with it. If it feels good, let it go.
Yeah.
With that said, we covered it also on the site, but I mean, you and Rakim have this great relationship, and I know in the past you've talked about someday getting in songs. And one of the things that Rakim has said is he's a student of jazz, and it's why his flow wasn't ABAB. It was kind of like free jazz. And when I think of your flow at the exact same time, 88, 89, 87, you have that. Like, you are not living within the confines. Do you know where that comes from? Are you a jazz head? Is it something else? Is it just, how does your mind create those rhyme patterns that were so inventive?
So I tell folks, I tell this to people all the time. What makes my specific style, is in the song, the formula. Energy flowing with the sense of a rich man. Now listen to rhythm. And those are rappers whose influences I use to develop me. High Energy is Run DMC, Along with the wisdom is KRS-One. Sense of a rich man is Slick Rick. Knowledge in the rhythm is Rakim. That's the formula. That's me. You know, that when you pour a little, then you add a little me in at the end. But you pour that in a cup in one of those little baths or vials, and that's my thing, you know. And so Rakim is in me. That's why it's in there.
So as you are one of the biggest influences, I would think, of people after you, who's taken your formula and built it and mixed it up in ways that you could not have imagined?
I mean, I hear it all over the place. I hear it. And almost all of them, you know, to be honest with you. But I got mad at Biggie Smalls because I could hear where I wanted to go. You know? And he first came, I could hear where I wanted to go and couldn't do it. So it made me be angry with him, you know, before I met him. But when I met him, he was such a genuine dude, and he asked me to take a picture with him, and he was so fucking humble. And I was like, how can you hate a dude like that? And ever since then, he's been my number one, really.
That photo, it's you, him, and Craig Mack. Am I right?
Yeah. We were in Chicago at something, and it was Saphir and Craig Mack and Smalls and myself. And he was just a cool dude, man, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know. I love to hear that story. You know, he went on record and said what an influence King T was, and that's another artist that, you know, I especially look up to, and I love hearing that, and it's cool how that changed your mind frame on the whole thing.
Yeah, man, King T is another one that don't get a lot. You know, he had me in Dallas wearing my white gold chain, trying to be him, you know, before it almost dies. You know?
Wow.
So we all stand on each other's shoulders, bro. That's exactly what I mean.
So you mentioned Dre. You know, Dre is definitely someone, and you said Biggie is where you wanted to go, but Dre, I think, also has given us a taste of where you would have gone to through his rap voice, you know, and he's got that booming voice, which I think has like really kind of resonated too. Who are some of the voices, who are some of the other voices you would want to hear rap your lines, whether or not you've worked with them?
Man, that's I never heard of. And I would want to, you know, I consider myself a humble guy. And the people that I really look up to, I wouldn't want them. I wouldn't want them rapping my words.
Yeah.
I feel like I would doing the justice here.
Right. Okay. All right, cool.
Like, the man is the one guy. And he said something on an interview not too long ago, but he's the one guy. My whole thing has always been, if I can do it. If you do it and I hear it, I can do it. As I judge. But Method Man was the one guy that I couldn't do his deal.
Oh, wow.
But I couldn't find the right verbiage to fill it lots and do it like he do it. It's just, you know, it's dope.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to this episode of our What's the Headline podcast. You can find a link to the full show in the description below. It'll take you to all your favorite platforms for listening to podcasts. We truly, truly, truly appreciate your time and attention. If you like what you've heard, please hit the subscribe button to follow us, set your notifications, hit the like button, whatever it may be. And we always love hearing from you, so leave a comment too. Thanks again.